Oh, sorry, I just clicked the microphone as you started to talk, and as soon as I've just turned on streaming, I'll say good morning to everybody. Uh, could you try again, please? I think that might have been Amazing Grace. David reckons it was anyway. Was that you, John?
Yeah,
I've got good copy on you. Seems we've got a good line to Minerva. And are you waiting for tomorrow, or what have you decided to do? Over.
I just wait for tomorrow that we took the surcharge of BT today. So we're going to wait for it.
All right, looks okay anyway, and yep, there's no point in paying money to the authorities if you don't need to. All right, good morning, everybody. He was talking to Flying Fish, was he? I've just got a ping coming on my phone, so I wonder if that is Flying Fish. Oh no, it was Quintessa. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Patricia and David on a very, very clear morning here at Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286. It's quite cold though, 16 degrees. We have 3 knots from the north, and I think we're going to get through the day today without any rain, but we'll wait and see. The bar is 1016.4. And we've got a few people on their way. Interesting reports. Exocet Strike and Expat closing in on their destination in Fiji. 18 south, 179 east, and getting 16 knots of east to southeast wind. So that's pretty good conditions for that direction. Course is 352, so no problem there, no rain, and they've got 90 miles to go, so very flat seas or half a metre seas. And over there going from Tongatapu to Kalafisi in the Hapais, I suppose it's Hapais, but no, there is a group before the Hapais, isn't it, that Kalafisi is in. Anyway, Kalafisi, east to east, southeast, only 5, 1.5 metre easterly swell, so all is good there. And Mr. Troy's probably asleep in Vanuatu, so we won't bother him. And let's see if there's anybody else wanting to give a report on course. Yeah, David was looking at the French curve, what you're going to be getting from Tuvalu. It's quite a difficult trip, that one. We actually went from the Marshalls to Vanuatu. It was a little easier off the wind there. Anybody else wanting to check in at this stage? Alchemy 2, good morning.
Good morning. Ticket 220, 223, 42 south, 177, so that's 90 degrees. Export 57 degrees. It's only along about 5.5 or 5. 1.5 metre victory well, and with that tail through the night.
Okay, I'm going to need a little bit of a fill there, but I have your position okay. 2242 south and 17704 west. What's that? I'm just looking back to your last one, but check me on that one. And the wind is 10 knots. Is it east, southeast? Over? Okay, east to southeast and a 1.5 metre long swell. So it sounds pretty reasonable, over.
Yeah, not too bad. It's trying to get more good, but we got okay.
Yeah, it could be a little bit further south too, I suppose. But yep, can't complain, I guess. There's certainly better than various alternatives. All right, thank you for that. And if there's no one else, I'll just go on to a little bit of news that we've got today. Well, actually, it's quite a lot of news, but I wouldn't exactly call it high-quality news. It's sort of more like Sunday newspaper news. Top Gun. I enjoyed the Top Gun movie. Well, there is a sequel being shot at the moment in San Diego on the USS Theodore Roosevelt. It's mostly in San Diego that they're doing it, and the crew are actually in the middle of doing their training exercises, but the film is going on. So Top Gun 2 will be out in the not too distant future, I suppose. There's no information as to what the theme of it is, so we'll just have to wait for that one. One of the things I just had to tell you about it. It's a product that no cruising ship should be without. It is a butt mask. I kid you not. We have face masks and lip masks and all the rest of it, but this is a butt, B-U-T-T mask, and it's well, I'm sure it's got quite a lot of uses for those people that like to wander around the top of the deck, stark naked, and they've had too many pieces of gatto in their life. It's sort of not a pretty sight sometimes, and this must surely work. There's various ones that you can get. One's called Slap It, that's got caffeine for retexturizing and detoxing the skin. Or there's another one called Squeeze It, with citrus to brighten and rejuvenate to ensure your best rear view selfie. You have to wonder. Well, they've gone through all the process of launching it and doing the artwork and all the rest of it. I'm sure the only people that would buy something like this are people going to birthday parties, because it would be quite a hilarious gift, wouldn't it, for someone who's got everything. So there you have it.
I guess if you can't find it, it would be a bummer.
Yes, it would be a bummer if you couldn't find it in the shop. Marine algae butt mask. So there you are, firming and illuminating. You could always use it for people that the sight is not so great where you're anchored. Okay, a nice little gift. Going to Auckland now. Here, just for another bit of useless information for those people that are stuck in Minerva maybe and wanting some quiz questions. Auckland has 66% of the cranes in New Zealand. That's a total of 98. So our skyline is not exactly very attractive. Christchurch is next with only 18. Queenstown, believe it or not, has 11. And a peaceful place is Dunedin with 1. All right, on to some more serious news. The South China Seas area is hotting up. You will know that China has managed to make some islands on top of reefs, particularly in the Spratlys. Well, the Australian Navy helicopter pilots, a couple of them, were hit by lasers while doing some exercises there a couple of days ago. The Australian Navy flagship Canberra was being in fact shadowed by a military Chinese vessel, but the lasers came from one of quite a few fishing boats that are in the area, so-called fishing boats, but the lasers came from them. They work in cohort with the Chinese military. So the over-the-horizon radar, we haven't been bothered with it lately, but I would imagine that we are going to, unless this new technology that they've got is meaning that it won't affect our particular frequency. But it certainly, there's a lot going on in the South China Seas, particularly against the US, Australia, and the UK. I didn't know the UK had any ships there. I didn't know that they had too many ships at all left at the moment. But anyway, certainly Australia and the US are in the firing line for the lasers. Talking about the US, there's been an enormous number of tornadoes in the last 30 days, 500. In fact, it's a 20-year record. There were 27 tornadoes yesterday and 50 in the last week. It's just enormously higher than normal and caused by, I really should get this right since I've got David beside me, but there's a high pressure over the southeast area and a cold trough over the Rockies, and this is forming moist air in the central area, sparking a lot of thunderstorms and tornadoes, particularly affected Indiana and Ohio, but also Kansas City, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Did I get all that sort of right?
Yeah, you got it right. And again, it's the same concept here in the Southwest Pacific, not for tornadoes per se, but you have two different air masses, different density, and when that happens, you're always going to see some kind of fireworks. So, and before everybody gets all worked up about climate changing,
I think I'll take the microphone.
Wait a minute. You notice that they say, what was it?
20 years.
In 20 years. Well, that means 20 years ago they had the same thing.
Yes.
So
okay.
That's my point.
That's his turn on the microphone. Yeah. He'll get his shortly. for those from Belgium, ex-King Albert II, who's 84, has finally agreed to a DNA test. He probably is running out of money because he's been refusing to do it and has been fined 5,000 euros a day because of this. There's a 51-year-old woman has decided that she's more than likely his daughter because of a relationship he had with her mother. And she's been trying to get this sorted for many, many years. And finally, he's agreed to the DNA test.
Who is this?
King Albert II, who's the ex-king of Belgium.
Oh, I see.
Yes, right. In the USA, back to the USA, because this is quite important for the rest of the world, the Supreme Court has so far decided it is not ready to change the Roe versus Wade abortion law. It is trying to give more say in the matter to the different states, and it is allowing Missouri to be the first state to no longer allow abortions. Missouri's not even in the south, is it?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
I thought it was further north, in the middle somewhere. Oh, I have to look at the map. Anyway, it's in the south, says David. Okay, so it's sort of like these ones that have just about to do the same thing. On to technology. Apple has got a patent for a foldable smartphone screen. I've just actually ordered, David, a smartphone from China, much to the...
My discussion.
Well, they're the cheapest from there, and they have 2 SIM cards. Poor old Citibank got their knickers in a knot about my trying to buy something from China and stopped me using my credit card. But anyway, we'll sort all that out today. Now, here's somebody who doesn't have to worry about how much money they've got in their credit card account. Mackenzie Bezos. I don't know how to pronounce that. The Amazon founder, Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, she's pledged half of her 57 billion fortune to charity. So hopefully she's going to be able to live on the remaining 28 billion. Okay, on to more serious stuff. The New Zealand budget comes out tonight. We do have a Labour Party now, and they are very good at spending money. We're not too sure where they're going to get it from, but we presume it will be from our taxes.
Guess where?
Guess where. Details have been leaked by the opposition's National Party, so that's all a bit of a to-do at the moment. So we've got a fair idea of what it's going to contain, but I will wait until tomorrow to give you the details if you are really interested in what we're going to be spending money on in New Zealand. Okay.
Certainly isn't roads.
It's certainly not roads. Well, I tell you what, they don't sound very good in America if they're having to look at billions of infrastructure money to replace some of the certainly East Coast roads. And here we have, Diego's actually awake this morning. Erromango has East 15, 21 degrees. That's not all that warm, is it? 1012.
Actually, it's dropped down to 18 was the low.
And we've got Lucan and Atlanta arriving in Savu from Cousteau. Good spot to hang out overnight and go on to Savu. Talking about Swedish, we're watching this program on Netflix called The Day. It's a series. It's quite exciting, actually. Atlas, not Atlanta. Oh, Atlas. Okay, Atlas. Yeah, I hadn't never heard of Atlanta. It's probably using an iPad that makes words up. All right, folks, I'll just have a check to see if anybody is here, like Kaya or Trigger and French Curve. Anybody wanting to check in, please call. Okay, Trigger got the button there. Well, he was fast on the trigger, wasn't he? Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Good morning, General arrived with a calm, southeast, 6 to 7 knots, copy.
Yep, 6 to 7 knots at dinner hour. That's the good thing about having a long boat. It goes quite fast, isn't it? Thank you, Chris, for that. And who was in behind Trigger? We've got a French Curve. Good morning, Mark. Go ahead.
We are at 20 degrees, 10 minutes south, west 79 degrees, 42 minutes east. We're on a close up 161. We're doing approximately 9 where Northern Sterling, the wind is about 3 to 4 knots and the southeast.
Oh, that's a bummer. Well, that's sort of what you, I guess, expected, but at least it's light heading into it. So I think David's got some information in your area.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it now? Okay,
Yeah.
he's going to do that now. Stand by.
Yeah, I was looking at you up there, and I had the 10-knot range up and down on that. I think it depends on the cloud cover. Being at 10 and heading south like you are, there's a trough there. What did you say? If you said anything about the cloud cover, any squalls, anything like that? Over.
No cloud cover right now over us. To the east, there's a lot of clouds.
Yes, just to the east of the date line there are. I'm looking at a satellite image now, and some of it's trying to pop over around you. You may be a little bit south of that, so you could be lucky. But anyway, that wind direction is probably going to be about what you're going to have the rest of the way to Fiji. That's not too bad, really, because ordinarily we get a little bit stiffer southeasterlies, and that would make life unpleasant for you. So anyway, just watch out for those squalls if those clouds bump over your way. Over.
All right, clear with Fridge Curve, and I think there was another. Was that Kaya? Okay, you must be getting pretty close. Go ahead. I think I've got 2770 true. I think I got 1945 south. Does anybody copy Kaya clearly? Okay, Kaya, could you give me your longitude again? Over. Okay, I got it that time. 17023 east. So that's not too bad. And are you on course for getting there tomorrow? Over. I'll have to have a look at that on the chart because we're just not picking you up too well. All right, but at least we've got the longitude and latitude correct. So you'll see a few boats in there by the look of it. I know Flying Fish is there, so if you need anything, just call on the VHF. But it's pretty good to get in. We'll wait and see what David's got by way of conditions. Okay, I'm going to pass the microphone now, and we'll see what's going on.
Alrighty, good morning. And looking at New Zealand, for those of you that have not left yet, quite a few still, we've got an active trough wending its way over the country from the south. Then it's expected to slow down for a day or so. Anyway, it finally should move away to the east on Sunday. Now, the winds northwest 25, pushing a 2.5 meter swell onto the North Island. So those that are just north of New Zealand, that's, I'm afraid, what you've got there. This is going to continue Friday, just between Opua and, we'll just say about 25 miles north. And it's going to shift to the west Saturday, 35 knots, 35. So expect rain on Friday and Saturday. And then we have a new ridge that's going to push into the Tasman by Sunday. So expect southwesterlies from New Zealand northward in the 20 knot range. However, in addition to that, expect convective activity also running north. Obviously, we've got this depression to worry about here. Now, for those still in Minerva, the winds today look to be, they look to be southeast 10 knots or so, give or take on the direction. And those winds more or less carry to either Tonga or Fiji. Again, plus or minus on the direction. Fiji, the wind's back a wee bit, so expect easterlies still around 10 knots there, and well, expect that basically from just outside of Minerva all the way up to Fiji then. Now, en route to Tonga on Saturday, as an example, you may have a motor day on Saturday. The winds look variable, less than 10 knots probably, and about the same en route to Fiji. And Sunday, if you decide to leave, expect light south to southwest winds. Now that is from the cyclonic flow from the low that's over New Zealand. That's where those winds are coming from. But by Monday, southeast to south-southeast, about 10 to 15, as the Tasman High moves in behind and on top of that depression, and that will cover the main cruising route. So we are going to get those switches in wind direction. Now at the moment, we've got a cold front that's near or over Minerva. I've got to ask John what the weather is there. It pushes up from the small depression that we've been talking about to the southeast, reaches up to about 20 south. It's aimed at Fiji. If you were to try to find an axis, it's fairly broad and diffuse. In fact, it's wide enough to actually reach Tonga Tapu. So looking at satellite imagery, I could see cloud there. For those of you underway from New Zealand that are near 30, I don't know if you could pick us up there or not. But actually, the winds from New Zealand to 30, we're looking at northwest in the 15 knot range today. Tomorrow, northerly quadrant winds still about 15 knots, reaching all the way up to 27 south. So as this depression develops and moves, it's changing the direction of the winds a little bit, but reaching up to 27. So it's not a very good window that you all left on. But anyway, soon to be westerlies, I think, as you get further north. And this is going to happen on Saturday. So Saturday at 30 south, westerlies 25 to 30, still some punch in there, I think. And if you get up to 25 south by then, west-southwest, about 15 to 20. So there you go. Now, up in the tropics, we've got a trough that runs from the Solomons to the Santa Cruz Islands, and another trough is just east of Tuvalu, extending to Wallis and hooking up with another trough from Rotuma, and that runs southeast to almost northern Tonga. Now, French Curve is just to the west of this, and you can see it on the satellite loop. So with a little bit of luck, it'll stay that way, and it won't affect that yacht heading to Fiji. We'll hope that's the case. So back to those of you that are still in New Zealand. Well, frankly, I would forget about this weekend if it were us. I see 5-meter seas just to the north of New Zealand as that depression does roll over the country. Monday looks quite tempting as you're looking at your grids of that, but if you watch carefully and take a few more days to the future, you'll see another depression approaching with northerlies, actually from New Zealand all northward, and then in addition, a frontal band in that is going to run from New Zealand to New Caledonia. So if you do leave on Monday, a day or so later, you're going to get hammered with this next frontal band and winds on the nose. So it doesn't look so red hot, does it? That may change, but we'll keep looking. Okay, looking at Tonga for today. As mentioned, cloud pushes up to Tonga Tapu. The Hapais and Vavau look fine. Scattered cloud. Those clouds are moving south to north. The winds are varying. Tonga Tapu, variable really in the 10 knot range. And actually, I get airport reports. They're called METARs. Any of you pilots out there know what a METAR is, and we get very accurate reports from the control towers at various airports. That doesn't necessarily reflect what it is out on the open water or where you're anchored, but it gives you an idea. And that's what I'm picking up there. But looking at different models and whatnot, as we go north, the winds tend to veer to easterlies around 10 to 15 knots. So as you're heading to the highs and whatnot, the wind veers. So tomorrow, for the group, expect southeast winds, I think, give or take 10 to 15 knots. Now the tides, for those interested, going through some of these little passes, it helps to know this. 10:35 this morning, the low, and the high this afternoon at 4:40. Pressures, if you're still in Tonga Tapu, 1016.3, 1016.3 millibar. Now over to Fiji, where trough lies just to the north, as I mentioned. This trough may slide south later today onto the northern parts of the group. But anyhow, expect southeast winds about 10 to 15, not much wind in Fiji. And if the trough does arrive, then we could be looking at heavy showers and thunderstorms and gusty winds if you happen to be under one of them. The wind does pick up overall tomorrow, mainly southeast 15 to 20. No great shakes, but a little bit more air than what you've had. And actually about the same over the weekend. We'll have to see about that. Most of the models are not totally agreeing on wind speed there, but no strong winds that I could see, unless that trough does produce a few nasty little squalls, but it may not. Now to Vanuatu, where imagery shows scattered cloud, a little heavier over the banks, in other words, up in the north. So possible showers for Luganville and maybe even getting down to Port Vila. Partly cloudy in Lenikai, wind southeast about 10 to 15. What I've got, Messertroy give a wind speed?
Yes, it did. Hang on,
We're checking that out. But anyway, sea is about a meter. Friday, the winds pick up a little bit in the north, southeast in the 15 knot range. However, for Tanna down to Anisham, south-southeast around 10 knots. So it's still fairly light down in the southern bits. And Newcal looks pretty good on imagery. Scattered cloud, mostly sunny though for our area. The wind's quite light in the South Lagoon, 5 to 10 knots, variable. Later today, they look a little more organized, maybe southeast, 10 knots, perfect for the ELOs exploring down there. Tomorrow a shift as that trough extension from New Zealand pokes its nose in there. So expect southerlies now, about 10 knots, and showers are going to be associated with that as well. So that's pretty much all I've got. I hope that was understandable. Any questions or comments come now? Here is the chief.
I'm sort of just laughing at the satellite picture because Mesaluna reports from Savu rain and 17 knots of southeast, and we've got Lady Nada and Alchemy having a very 10% cloud and quite a pleasant trip, and they're not far away. And I can see it's just hanging over Savu. It's a pleasant place, isn't it? All right. Is there any questions from anybody? Please call. No, you were going to talk about getting from Tonga to Fiji over the next few days. Do you want to comment on that? I mean, he wants the microphone back anyway.
No, I thought I covered that. It's looking good. If you leave Friday en route, not bad at all. If you're heading to Fiji or Tonga, for that matter, the winds are fairly light. They do change around a little bit. Remember, what's happening is we've got a ridge trying to poke in the northern part of the Tasman, but we've got this large depression that's over New Zealand. So that depression is eking its way north of winds. So the cyclonic winds mean sort of westerly quadrant, southwest, west, that sort of thing. So on your way to Fiji, on what day did I say? I forgot. It might have been Saturday. That's a little bit of a tricky day. The winds could either be coming from sort of a westerly quadrant because of this, if those isobars push up that far, or they could be from the other quadrant on the other side. But fairly light air, so it's not really going to be a problem either way. It just depends what side your boom's going to flop on. So, yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, if John on Amazing Grace or Lonnie is on frequency, what is the weather at the moment in Minerva, if you would? Over.
Good morning, David. Amazing Grace here. Currently, we've got skies are clearing, although there are still cumulus clouds pretty much around us, and a little bit above us. There's also cumulus clouds way off to the west and east. The barometer, the cold setting yesterday at
Barometer still what?
Steady. 10 southeast.
Okay, well, looking at the band right now, and I am, it's just, the main axis of it is just to the north of you, so that's pretty good news. I wasn't sure if that was going to clip Minerva or not, but yeah, thanks for that. I'll update this loop again and see what we've got. So, well, that trough is not going to go your way. If anything, it's going to slide a little bit more north, I think. But it should hopefully dissipate by the time you start to go. I think you're going tomorrow. So anyway, thank you for that. Here's the chief.
Okay, is there anything else that needs clarifying? Please call. And is there any relays, in fact, I could do with somebody to give a call out for anybody that we won't be able to copy in our skip? Could someone volunteer? Thank you, David. Just give a call in case there's somebody, they're really having a tough time, some of these folk trying to get north. If you could put out a call, please. Thank you. Thank you very much, and with that we'll say good morning. Tomorrow, of course, will be a pretty decent sized wrap up to cover you through the weekend. We will not be taking Queen's birthday off. We will be on again on Monday, so you'll just need to cover yourselves for the weekend. If you need any supporting comments from David with what you're looking at on your own accessing weather. Cheers everybody, have a good day, and we'll be back again tomorrow.